and welcome back to Travel Tip Tuesday on the Travel Mug Podcast. I am joined as always by my partner in podcasting and my good pal Jen. How are you doing,
I
Jen?
am good.
And what about autumn? I know it's felt like summer, but how has your
Yeah, I
autumn been
think
going?
autumn that feels like summer is my favorite.
It's my favorite autumn of
I it
all.
is very beautiful here in Nova Scotia right now.
Yes,
I recently drove a couple of hours and the views, even on the side of the highway, were quite lovely.
they are primo supremo. I cannot disagree. Well, recently we went on a little small fall road trip because I love a small fall road trip. And we went to New Brunswick because that's what we seem to do with our lives. And when we went there, we stayed in 3 Airbnbs. And overall, we had a really great time. One of the Airbnbs I do want to mention, which has brought us to this podcast and this episode, is it had a cleanliness problem.
Mhm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was aesthetically beautiful, a great view, great location, but it was pet friendly. And the leftover dog hair from the previous guest was a huge turnoff. We went to have a little rest and we turned back the sheets and the bed was full of dog hair.
Hmm.
Yeah. Had to do our own laundry. I digress. But we got over it and we enjoyed our time because we paid to stay there. But it did get me thinking, what really makes a great Airbnb?
Mhm.
We have now been to well over 75 Airbnbs since
Whoa.
2020. Apparently, we prefer not to have our own home,
Apparently.
just to stay in other people's. Otherwise, we'd have our own home by now. But that's another story for another day. But I feel because of that, we have amassed enough experience at this point to talk about what, in my opinion, again, only my opinion, makes for a great Airbnb and what you, the listener, should also listen for and look for, not listen for, what you, the listener, should also look
Okay.
for. So let's talk basics. Number one, the rating. We do not usually ever stay anywhere below a 4.9. We've talked about this before on the podcast about how people are more forgiving in their reviews and ratings on Airbnb because it is so much more personal
Yeah.
than a hotel. You have to ensure you are checking the rating and reading reviews. What are people saying? But also, if someone gives a 4 out of 5 and they do not reference anything was incorrect or wrong about the Airbnb in their review, what do they not say?
Mhm.
Reading between the lines is key, and don't go for a 4.6, which is great on Google, not on Airbnb. Number two, cleanliness. And really, this should be number one in my opinion, but cleanliness. You should expect your Airbnb to be really clean. You are generally paying a cleaning fee, and there is absolutely no excuse for an Airbnb to be dirty. I just don't think there's any exceptions to this rule. And if someone leaves a host a review and it includes issues with cleanliness, don't stay there. And the host should be working to rectify this immediately. A less than clean property will turn most people off from booking that property. Cleanliness is king. And when we booked the less than clean Airbnb from our last trip, they haven't been hosting long, and it was a 5 when we
Mhm.
booked. However, once we were there and we saw that it wasn't that clean, we're like, why did we book this place? Like, what's the rating? And then we checked the ratings again, and it was all of a sudden a
Mhm.
4.88 because the last guest before us had left us a review or had left them a review referencing those issues with the cleaning. And when there aren't many reviews, a rating was tanking because there's only a
Mhm.
few. So it was something to keep in mind. There should just be zero excuse. If you're cleaner, if it's not clean enough and you're getting reviews that it's not clean, get a new cleaner and
Right.
a
Yeah,
story,
for sure.
you know? Rant over for now. Number three, basic appliances. So if size allows and it's applicable for the type of stay, you of course have to read what's included. But of course, if it's the type of stay where it should be, there should be a fridge, stove, oven, or hot plate, whichever is
Mhm.
applicable. If you're going to have a coffee maker, great. Please provide coffee. If it's a Keurig, please provide pods. And something else the unclean Airbnb did not have, which it didn't say that it did, but it was just odd, was a microwave.
Mm.
Not everyone uses one, but it seems like a basic appliance to me. So if you can include one,
Mhm.
please do. And we've actually stayed somewhere that had a Keurig and no
Mm.
pods. that host is a
Yeah.
monster, in my opinion.
Someone, I hope that someone just forgot to restock the coffee. Other than they
No,
don't. Okay, all right.
no, we've had to stay there a few times because it's close to
Yeah,
family, and
it's
each
a
time there's no
pack your
pod.
own pod situation. Okay.
And I refuse to do it. Number four of a basic that every Airbnb should have is clear instructions prior to arriving on how to arrive and how to
hmm
get in. That was another issue with the unclean Airbnb. They did not send us any instructions. We had to message
Ew.
them when we were in the
Yikes.
driveway. Yeah, that's never should be
Yeah.
the case. The host should always provide this information before arrival and without their guest having to
Mhm.
ask for it. And then number five of the basics that I wanted to mention is there should usually be a 3 p.m. check-in and an 11 a.m.
Mhm.
check-in. A huge turnoff is when an Airbnb has a 4 p.m. check-in and a 10 a.m. checkout. I feel if your cleaner cannot do a turnover of the space between 11 and 3, you need to hire more cleaners or a new cleaner. And if someone is paying a lot of money to stay and you make them arrive late and leave early, to me, that is
Mhm.
cheap. I can understand if it's a 4 p.m. checkout and an 11 a.m. Sorry, a 4 p.m. check-in and 11 a.m.
Yeah.
checkout, or 3 p.m. and
Yeah.
10 a.m., but not both. That's just super cheap
Yeah.
to me. I could go on, but trust me, I won't. But I would like to talk about what then pushes an Airbnb sort of in the exceptional category. What are people out there doing that makes their Airbnbs really
Mhm.
stand out? Number one is something special for the guests at arrival. This doesn't have to be anything grand. I'm not looking for, $100 gift. But trust me, thoughtful touches go so far. So we've experienced wine, local craft beer, baked goods, a basket of goodies, which included granola bars, little bags of chips, those little bottled
Mhm.
Starbucks drinks, like a variety of things. And stuff like this can actually make someone overlook other little
Mm.
annoyances. Personal touches are huge, of course, for that initial, oh my goodness, that's so nice. But if something goes wrong, you can always be like, but they gave us that great X, Y, or Z. Like, people
Yeah.
love little
Yeah.
free
For
things.
sure. 100%.
It's the way to a guest's heart.
Yeah.
Number two is body wash, shampoo, and conditioner in the shower. If your Airbnb also has a barbecue or a fire table, you should also ensure that you have enough propane for every guest every time.
Good point.
Body wash, shampoo, and conditioner are not big items. Buy a big thing from like Costco, it'll last the guests forever. And then propane, if you're providing those items, should be
Yeah.
there.
Easy
Easy
peasy.
peasy. I love a throw blanket. I don't know how you
Right.
feel
Same.
about a throw blanket. Yeah. Oh, it's everything. I even use them in the summer. It's just some kind of like
Yeah.
comfort thing. And so there's nothing worse than getting somewhere and like sitting on their couch and then not having a throw and or getting there and their furniture is
Mm.
uncomfortable. If you're going to have an Airbnb, do
Yeah.
it right. Have comfy furniture, have a throw blanket, make people feel like they're at home. It is the point of
Yeah.
Airbnb. Fourth, seems simple again, but again, not typical, but we'll be like, oh, that's nice, is a full ice tray in the freezer. And some really great spots have had beer steins or other glassware actually chilling in the fridge or freezer with their craft
Mm.
beer or wine or whatever it is. It's literally just makes you think these people care about
Yeah.
my stay. And then fifth is a great house manual with local sightseeing information, recommendations for outdoor activities such as hikes, restaurants, etc., which really help your guest get to know the
Mhm.
area. Out of these 10 things, I don't think any of this is like ludicrous. I don't think any of these things are unrealistic expectations, but these are just my opinion. And after a lot of stays, I think these are basics and extras that guests should look for and pay attention to, and that hosts should take note
Yeah.
of. So, Jen, is there anything as an Airbnb guest you would want to see that I've not
Yeah.
mentioned?
So, good question. I have not stayed in that many Airbnbs. Like,
Because you
well,
have a house.
I do have a house. I think I've stayed in probably 5 or less Airbnbs, not many.
Right.
But I agree with everything that you said. And I think as a guest, it's really important to read the description to manage your expectations. For instance, one of my friends owns a camper that they list on Airbnb, and it's new. They've gotten one bad review where the person gave them 1 stars for everything, which I think was just a disgruntled human. But they
Sure.
said that you didn't have an oven and the bathroom was small. And the listing clearly states that there is no oven and that it is a half bath. And the pictures, you can clearly see it is small.
Right.
So I think that as a guest, we need to be really clear about what we're searching for when we're booking. And then that helps avoid those types of situations where you're disappointed, but in real life, the host has done everything that they can uh, to advertise the space as it actually is.
Yeah, I agree. And you're right. The onus of some things is on the guest because you have to make sure you're booking something and you can't complain about something that the listing clearly says isn't there or is there or whatever the case might be. Sure, the unclean place didn't have a microwave, but it didn't list
Yeah,
that it did. So there's no getting upset about that because that's on you if you didn't realize it. So those are things, you're exactly right. There's expectations to have, but you also have to make sure your expectations meet what you're
yeah,
actually
for
booking.
sure.
Excellent. Well, we would love to hear from you if you have anything different that makes an Airbnb exceptional. And that is it for this week's Travel Tip Tuesday. You can follow us on our website, travelmugpodcast.com, on social media, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Travel Mug Podcast. And feel free to show the podcast some support by buying us a coffee. Link is in the show notes, or leave us a comment or a rating because we love to hear from you. But until next
Bye.
time,